The film starts with ads on artificial intelligence robots, dubbed simulants, being incorporated into American society to make things easier for mankind. In 2055, it is shown that a nuclear warhead detonated in Los Angeles due to the AI created by the US government, incinerating over 1 million people. The military begins a mission to eradicate all simulants across the country, but they find resistance from New Asia, who harbor the remaining simulants as fellow citizens. 10 years later, the USS North American Orbital Mobile Aerospace Defense, or Nomad, a massive space station, capable of launching devastating attacks from orbit, is created. American soldiers arrive in New Asia. Their mission: use Nomad to scan the grounds for signs of simulants to wipe them out and find the so-called Nomad, creator of the AI. Meanwhile, near the soldiers' landing zone, Joshua Taylor spends time with his pregnant wife Maya, while examining her enigmatic tattoo. A sudden noise outside prompts Maya to approach the window, and Joshua dons his prosthetics. A group of simulants led by Haroon breaks into their home, bringing along an American prisoner named Drew. Noticing Nomad's approach, the simulants leave, leaving Drew behind. Joshua instructs Maya to gather their belongings and stays with Drew, accusing him of not allowing him more time to complete their mission. It is revealed that Joshua is an undercover U.S. Army sergeant tasked with finding Nirmata through Maya, who, according to intel, is his daughter. Outside, the soldiers encounter robots, leading to a fierce shootout. Joshua uses Drew's radio to inform the command that Nirmata is not present and requests a recall of the raid. Maya, overhearing the conversation, appears, disheartened by her husband's betrayal. Despite Joshua's pleas to think about their child, Maya joins the simulants, whom she considers her family. They flee by boat but are struck by a Nomad missile. 5 years later, Joshua works at Ground Zero in Los Angeles as part of a cleaning crew. During one of his patrols, he and his partner come across a droid that still has some sentience, and Joshua shuts it down, which the partner views as almost like putting a human out of their misery. While alone, Joshua reminisces about his time with Maya. It's revealed that he lost his arm and leg in the Los Angeles explosion and also lost his parents and brother. Later, Joshua is approached by General Andrews and Colonel Howell. They claim to have gathered intelligence that Nirmata is working in New Asia to develop a super weapon named Alpha O that can potentially destroy Nomad, so they are recruiting Joshua to help stop them. He is ready to refuse until Howell shows him a holographic video, indicating that Maya is still alive and working at the facility where the weapon is being developed. Joshua is then told he is the only one who remembers the layout of the lab and can not only help win the war but also see his wife again. Arriving there, Nomad scans the area and the team disembarks in a field. Joshua guides them to the lab, only to find it is hidden beneath a village. Threatening the locals, the soldiers interrogate them to locate the lab. McBride, one of the soldiers, threatens a little girl's puppy, causing her distress. Her mother tries to calm her, but Joshua notices her pointing to an altar. Turning a totem, a hatch opens, leading to the lab. McBride and Hardwick stay outside while the rest of the team goes in. They eliminate all the guards and Joshua reviews the footage to locate Maya. As the team advances, they fire at scientists who barricade themselves behind bulletproof doors. Joshua notes that the doors use facial recognition systems. Meanwhile, local police arrive at the lab. Bradbury eliminates some officers, but reinforcements come. The team fights their way to the superweapon bunker, and Bradbury calls for help. Everyone except Joshua, Shipley, and Daniels goes to combat the police. Shipley hacks the security code, and Daniels sets up targeting beacons, but security forces storm in and attack Daniels. Shipley rushes to help his injured partner while Joshua remains at the bunker entrance. The doors open, and Joshua enters to find a child watching a cartoon and realizes it's a simulant. A scientist appears, shoots Joshua, seals the bunker, and sends the child robot to Nirmata. The child escapes and watches the battle in the field. The surviving team members return to the plane, and the captain informs Howell that Shipley and Joshua are still in the lab. Howell tries to delay Nomad's strike, then instructs the team to leave without them and heads to the base. Outside, Joshua searches for Maya among evacuating scientists but cannot find her. Nomad soon contacts them, ordering an immediate evacuation due to an imminent missile strike. In the chaos, Bradbury tries to reach the plane but is knocked off her feet. On board, the team discovers a bomb attached to her, which explodes in mid-air as Joshua watches in horror. Nomad then strikes the lab. Joshua, recovering from the blast, wakes up in a boat and sees the simulant child. He returns to the field and finds the injured Shipley, moving him to an empty house to hide. Suddenly, the TV turns on, with the child simulant in front of it. Joshua turns it off, but the child turns it back on. Joshua realizes the girl is the super weapon. Howell contacts them, and a loud signal alerts the nearby farmer simulant. Joshua informs Howell that the weapon is a child, confusing Howell. Realizing that Joshua and Shipley cannot escape, Howell orders the weapon's destruction, but Joshua hesitates. The girl starts drawing Maya's tattoo, which Joshua notices. Then the farmer enters holding a gun and says to the girl, he will kill the American. Using a translator, Joshua understands and shoots the farmer first, drawing all nearby police to their location. He demands to know where his wife is, but the child only mentions a mysterious name, Dian Dung. Before the police arrive, Joshua drags Shipley into a truck and calls the girl to join them. The police throw a grenade, but a nearby dog returns it and detonates it. The girl then starts the truck and they escape. Meanwhile, the police capture Howell and put her in a van with the surviving McBride. They later attack the police and take control of the van. On their way, Joshua tries to find out from the girl where his wife is, but Shipley regains consciousness and, gun in hand, demands they head to a U.S. military base due to his injuries. Joshua claims the base is too far but promises to take him to a friend in the provincial capital. Moments later, Shipley succumbs to his wounds and dies. Suddenly, another vehicle appears on the road, and with their truck in disrepair, Joshua decides to request a ride to the city. Before doing so, he places a hat on the girl to disguise her as human and names her Alfie. After a while, Howell and McBride find the truck with Shipley's body inside. Howell uses a special device to temporarily transfer Shipley's consciousness into a police simulant to determine Joshua's whereabouts and the status of the superweapon. Shipley, however, fails to provide useful information and disconnects permanently. Howell declares Joshua and Alfie wanted. In the evening, their van is halted at a checkpoint. Alfie uses her abilities to disable the electricity, allowing them to evade capture. A policeman reports the abduction of a child, prompting Howell and McBride to start a pursuit. In the city, Joshua again asks Alfie about Maya's location, but the girl remains silent. They board a train to escape the police, and Joshua notices several women who look like Maya, but they are merely simulants with her donor's face. During the train ride, Alfie asks about Joshua's life and they bond. The girl falls asleep on his shoulder. In a flashback, Drew assigns Joshua the task of gaining Maya's trust to gather information about Nirmata. He gives Joshua an engagement ring with a tracking beacon and warns that Maya will eventually be labeled a terrorist. Exiting the train, Joshua and Alfie find wanted posters of themselves everywhere. They arrive at a simulant factory where Joshua introduces Alfie to his former commander, Drew. Joshua explains Alfie's abilities, and Drew's girlfriend, a simulant named Kami, asks what would make Alfie happy. Alfie responds, "For robots to be free." Joshua asks Drew to trace Maya using a tracker, but Drew claims she is not alive. Joshua presents proof from a recording, and Drew, not wishing to argue, agrees. After examining Alfie, Drew concludes she is far more sophisticated than other robots. She will grow and develop superpowers that allow her to control other simulants. Meanwhile, local police and Howell's team search for Joshua and Alfie. Kami nervously notices a delivery, which turns out to be a bomb that explodes in her hands. Joshua, Alfie, and Drew escape before Howell and McBride arrive and take Kami's head for hacking purposes. Drew tracks a beacon ring belonging to Maya and discovers it at Joshua's old house. Inside, Joshua retrieves the ring from a flooded floor and watches a video of their last meeting. Simulants approach and Alfie warns Joshua. Overwhelmed with emotion, Joshua shouts at Alfie for her silence, then apologizes and hugs her. Drew bursts in, urging them to leave but is shot. In his final moments, Drew reveals the raid 5 years ago was because intelligence discovered Maya was Nirmata. Joshua is stunned but is interrupted by a noise outside. He grabs Alfie and tries to flee, but soldiers simulants, including Harun, surround him and he loses consciousness from a powerful blow. In another flashback, Joshua recalls meeting Maya in a club. Her father taught her about AI, but when the war began, he fled, leaving her in the care of simulants who loved and protected her better than humans. The next morning, Joshua wakes up in a cell aboard a simulant ship. Harun questions why Joshua needs Alfie, and Joshua explains she was to lead him to Maya. Harun reveals that initially, Nirmata was Maya's father, but after his death, she took on the role of Nirmata and created Alfie to destroy any weapon. He adds that the Los Angeles explosion was due to human error, but humans blame simulants. The robots, he claims, only seek peace. Joshua asks to meet Maya, but Harun suspects the Americans want to reach Nirmata through him. Suddenly, the simulants discover Nomad has attacked their base. Joshua requests Alfie's help to escape. He jumps into the water as the simulants open fire. The ship departs, but Joshua survives by hiding under it. They reach the simulant city, where Joshua sees they can indeed think and feel like humans. Harun explains Alfie cannot currently disable Nomad but could if brought aboard, at the cost of her life. At night, Joshua disables Harun and tries to flee with Alfie. Meanwhile, Americans attack the city with large tanks, causing widespread destruction. Alfie attempts to help her people but is shot by McBride, who is then shot by Joshua. With Alfie unconscious and a walking bomb reactivated, Joshua flees with her before the bridge explodes. Harun decides to take Alfie to Nirmata and allows Joshua to accompany them. Harun reveals Maya created Alfie from a scan of a human embryo, making her a replica of their unborn child. They reach the simulant Buddhist temple, where Joshua learns Dian Dang means heaven. He finds Maya there but she's on life support, which only keeps the body working. The monk explains she has been like that for 5 years. Joshua approaches Maya, where a recovered Alfie is resting next to her body. The girl requests help to take her mother to Diandang, so a distraught Joshua disconnects Maya from the apparatus. Soon, Americans arrive and massacre the simulants. Howl enters the temple, threatening Joshua with a weapon, and tries to awaken Nirmata's consciousness. Harun shoots Howl, prompting the Americans to open fire on him. Soldiers approach Howl to see that a bomb is attached to her and is promptly detonated by Alfie. Harun asks Joshua to take Alfie and destroy Nomad. Joshua leaves with Alfie and Maya's chip but is immediately captured by Americans, who separate them before taking them away as Nomad destroys the area. Later, in Los Angeles, General Andrews forces Joshua to destroy Alfie. He pretends to comply but only temporarily disables her. They transport Alfie to the blast site for incineration, but she regains consciousness en route and disables the vehicles. Joshua and Alfie escape to the lunar shuttle. Andrews orders all flights to return to the spaceport, but Alfie redirects the ship to Nomad. In response to Nomad's threat, Andrews orders an attack on simulant bases worldwide. Joshua sets explosives and sends Alfie to the control center to disable Nomad's power, preventing missile launches. Alfie disables Nomad systems, and Joshua sets a bomb with a 10-minute timer. Returning from the control center, Alfie accidentally discovers a room with numerous dormant simulants. She notices a robot with her mother's face and attempts to activate her using Maya's chip, but it fails. Meanwhile, Alfie's power wanes and some missiles hit their targets. With Joshua's suit running low on oxygen, Alfie helps him to a room with air while preparing the escape pod. A giant robot with tentacles then attacks Alfie. Joshua shuts down the escape pod, and the door severs the robot's tentacles, freeing Alfie. As Andrews prepares for another massive attack, the robot captures Joshua, but Alfie uses her powers to make it release Joshua and then defeat it. With the pod's door damaged in the attack, Joshua and Alfie struggle as the explosives finally detonate. Explosions resonate throughout Nomad, and the launched missiles fail to detonate. In their last moments together, Joshua tells Alfie that he'll meet her in heaven before releasing the pod back to Earth. Joshua then walks out and discovers that Maya's chip has indeed worked as he finds the Maya robot, who recognizes him. They embrace and kiss one more time before the end. Alfie's pod safely returns to Earth. She witnesses everyone celebrating Nomad's downfall, and she begins to smile. With that, the movie ends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time.